Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Chip Over the Top Rugby podcast. It has been a little bit of time and it is officially winter here in Maryland. It snowed this morning. That is why I'm in my little fleece Columbia gilet. And so if you are new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. Before we get into it, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe for more rugby content. Lots coming. So welcome back. I know it has been a little bit of time since I uploaded a podcast / episode. And listen, I had every intent when I went home over the Thanksgiving break back to Wales. I had every intent of making a podcast, uploading video, editing stuff. But I just didn't have the time. I didn't give myself enough sort of downtime, which is fine with me because, you know, it meant that I was able to fully get involved in the touristy things. I got to see all the family and friends that I needed to see, wanted to see, that I didn't get to see in June. And I was able to partake in touristy things, like I said, Castle Cork, went at Pen y Fan, waltzed around Cardiff, did St. Fagans, and obviously much, much more. What was awesome though, and I did touch upon it briefly before in my last episode, was that I got to do some very cool things in terms of Welsh rugby, and I'm very grateful for that opportunity that is going to come, and that did arise from me going home as well. So yeah, basically what happened was, I touched upon it briefly in the video prior to me going, in the last episode you may have watched. I got to meet with the Six Nations team, the media team for Wales in the Millennium Stadium, aka the Principality Stadium, which was pretty cool, and I will upload a little bit of snippets of videos here over my voiceover. So what you're seeing right now is obviously inside the Millennium Stadium, from the hospitality box where I met with the Six Nations team, and I was very much looking forward to sort of going into 2024 with sort of a rugby creative mindset. So I'm very looking forward to that. Like, I'm excited about that prospect, you know, in terms of creating content for rugby, because obviously I have my podcast and I have the Welsh Guy in America sort of social media side, which is where, you know, most of the content is going to stem and be pushed from. But like, I have done some social media stuff in the US for the Old Glory professional team, for example, which is the Washington DC MLR team. But it's just not the same in terms of the dynamics. And I say that because there's no sort of continuity between USA Rugby and sort of the MLR and then the teams underneath. It's basically the MLR and then the teams as individuals. So there's no real sort of collective enterprise, which is unfortunate, but hopefully, you know, that changes, because at the end of the day, the USA Rugby are hosting the 2031 and 2033 Rugby World Cups for the men and women respectively. And I personally still haven't seen anything stem down from USA Rugby yet in terms of, okay, this is what's going to happen. There's nothing being set in place yet. And you think, you know, obviously, yes, it's only 6 years away, 7 years away, whatever. So there's plenty of time, and the infrastructure is already sort of in America in terms of stadium and locations. But nothing's really been sort of set, or at least that I haven't been able to see it. And I don't think the general public have been able to see it just yet. So sticking to the USA Rugby while we're here. So the MLR is currently facing its own battle at the moment anyway, right? So Toronto Arrows just quit, basically folded, not enough financial support for them. And that was Canada's only professional rugby team. And they were in the MLR on the Eastern Conference. And also in the Eastern Conference, New York just announcing that they had to fold too for financial reasons, which is very unfortunate. Two teams going out. One team coming in is Miami Sharks, obviously based in Miami. So that's kind of good for the development of rugby in that region, but disappointing for like the northeastern part of rugby in the US. So we'll see what happens in the 2024 MLR season going forward. Anyway, let's get back to Wales and the Welsh game. So I got to enjoy rugby quite extensively on my trip home. Starting with Thursday evening. Well, let's start prior to that. So obviously, like I said, I got to meet with the Six Nations team on the Tuesday. And stemming from that, I got invited to Cardiff Rugby on Friday when they played the Stormers. And then on Sunday, I got to go and watch the Welsh derby between the Ospreys and the Scarlets. And I will put up footage when I get to it in a second. But prior to that, I wanted to just see, and obviously I had my local team was playing on the Saturday after Cardiff as well. So that was pretty cool. I got to see a lot of rugby. A lot of different standards, right? Thursday evening, I was like, okay, I had an hour free or an hour and a half free or whatever. And I noticed that Ponty were playing Carmarthen Quins in Ponty at Sardis Road. And I haven't seen Ponty play in a long time. So I just went along and I watched footage here. It was a good game. Actually surprising decent turnout for Ponty, to be fair. I think Ponty went on to win that game as well. 29-23, maybe, something along those lines. I'll double check and put it up on the screen. But yeah, it was a good turnout. I was actually surprised that there was still sort of a crowd going to see these games, because obviously with the things, how things are in the WRU right now in terms of the regions and everything like that, it was still good to see local attendance being supported at these games. So that is promising for the future. Just hopefully we can replicate that in the regions, and then obviously at the Welsh games too, which will never be an issue really at the Welsh games. But regionally, some of the crowd attendances aren't optimal, but hey, it's just a work in progress. Obviously the Welsh Rugby Union is going through a little bit of change at the moment, and it's going to be a work in progress. But I'm excited to sort of help out as best as I can from a social media standpoint. So yeah, I got to see Ponty play. And then on Friday, like I said, I got to go and see Cardiff Rugby play against the Stormers, which was pretty awesome. Rocking up, getting an envelope with your name on it. Pretty cool. I still have a video to upload on social media, but I have some footage right here for you right now of the game. It was an awesome game. Cardiff did come away with the win on that one, right at the death as well. So exciting game. Bitterly cold night in Cardiff. Not what I was used to, but yeah, got a good, went to Dorothy's after on Chippy Lane, obviously. Yeah, class night. Thoroughly enjoyed it. It was good to get back in the mix of Welsh rugby, because if you didn't know, I was a Cardiff Blues season ticket holder for a couple of seasons back in the early 2000s. Got to see like Jonah Lomu play and whatnot. But obviously, as someone who has moved to America now, I'm just a fan of Welsh rugby in general, which is why I wanted to see a plethora of Welsh rugby take place, like from semi-pro to grassroots and obviously to professional. And even on after that game, I got to see, had a very good chat with Corey Domachowski, the loosehead prop for Cardiff and Wales. So yeah, that was a pretty cool picture right here for you, for evidence, just in case you didn't believe me. So yeah, not to overdo it then in terms of rugby, like I said, I got to watch some grassroots rugby, my local team. I travelled to Cardiff to watch the seconds play, just because a few of my mates were playing for the seconds and not the first. So my intent was to watch the first and get some drone footage over that, but just didn't happen, and it is what it is. I went to Cardiff, watched the seconds play, enjoyed it. It was just good to see sort of like different standard of rugby being played in Wales. Some shocking refereeing, but that's for another story, right? But yeah, it was fun to watch. It was good to watch. It was good to see old teammates and old best friends of mine playing. And obviously, I do miss playing with them. So, like, it was kind of like, I did take my boots, but I was like, I'm flying home on Monday. Do I want to get potentially injured or anything like that, or sore for like a 8-hour, 10-hour day? Well, actually, it turned out to be a 24-hour day, really, of traveling on that Monday. So, yeah. However, in terms of sporting, of viewing, the creme de la creme really came on Sunday, because I got invited to the Welsh derby, Ospreys v Scarlets, at Swansea.com Stadium. So that was pretty epic. Absolutely loved it. Getting to just be amongst it all, film and enjoy the sport was quite special. The Ospreys did come out on top of that one, but it could have gone either way. The Ospreys just a few more clinical moments and took their chances when it mattered the most. Did get some Ospreys merch here for you. Absolutely class day. Loved it. Really enjoyed it. Honestly, it was just nice to be involved and nice to be sort of appreciated in terms of from a social media standpoint to be able to go and get invited to go and film behind the scenes to post on my social media channels. So yeah, that was pretty awesome. I was hoping, that I was going to be home the full weekend prior to the time that I did go home, because I would have been able to see the Dragons play Cardiff as well in Newport. And that would have captured sort of all the regions for my trip home, but didn't happen. But it didn't, it is what it is. So yeah, happy days. So, and I did think that I was going to be able to do, from a creative standpoint, like a podcast in front of the Millennium Stadium or at one of the games. But I just really wanted to just be in it and just enjoy it and film while I could, and then upload and edit afterwards. So yeah, it is what it is. But I'm excited for the next couple of months, especially in the lead up to the Six Nations. So there we go. Because these opportunities, I don't know when they're going to arise for me again. So I don't know when I'm going home. If I go home in the summer, there's obviously not going to be any regional rugby being played. So I just wanted to maximize my time and opportunities there. So yeah. So let's just do a quick recap then on the results that matter to Wales and Welsh rugby after I got home, because I was jet lagged that week, so I didn't really get to catch most of the games. And as currently, I'm still only able to catch highlights because rugby in America is behind a paywall for the majority of it. So until I find out a way that is seamless and a bit more streamlined, this is just how it's going to be. So URC games on Saturday, December the 2nd, Cardiff losing to Scarlets in that derby, 23-29. Ospreys. The young Ospreys team travelled to Treviso, Benetton, and lost 18 points to 13. And then the Dragons in South Africa losing quite emphatically, 49-24 to the Lions. So this past weekend, the one that's just happened, was the start of European tournaments, right? So in the European Champs, the top flight, only Welsh representation is Cardiff. But things didn't get off to a great start for Cardiff. They were playing Toulouse. And as we know, Toulouse are star-studded with French, absolute, incredible players. Blair Kinghorn is now there. He was probably the standout Scottish player of the World Cup. And he crossed over twice on his debut. But then, for Toulouse, obviously, they have the likes of Antoine Dupont, Thomas Ramos, Flamont, and Diolch. Unbelievable. Cardiff missing some key players, but they lost 52 points to 7. I'm not entirely sure if the scoreline would have been any closer, because as we know, Toulouse and just France, the French style of rugby right now is just incredible to watch. So, there was a yellow card by Halaholo on the 37th minute, but again, I don't think the outcome would have changed all that much. It was the club's biggest defeat in European rugby in 17 years. So hopefully this coming weekend they get to rectify that, and we'll touch upon that in a second. There's definitely a clear gap in terms of sort of just the strength between the countries at the moment, especially in depth in terms of the clubs. But as I mentioned previously, this is a good opportunity for youngsters to kind of step up, and let me just make sure that this is still on. Yeah, cool. Because that'd be a nightmare if I did all this and it wasn't. Yeah, happy days. So it was just a good opportunity for youngsters to step up, and one youngster in particular who has been doing it for Cardiff thus far in Winnett, the fullback. He wasn't playing this game, but Mackenzie Martin, the back rower who was prior to this game starting for Cardiff RFC against Swansea, but he did cross the whitewash and scored on his European debut, which was pretty cool. So he'll be one to watch for the future, I'm sure. And now moving down to the Challenge Cup, which is a sort of strung down. There are still some superb teams featured. Scarlets travelled to Castres in France, where they too suffered a loss, but the final score may not have reflected the actual game. Scarlets lost 34 points to 16. Yohan Lloyd scoring all 16 points, but unfortunately for him, going off injured with a bit of a shoulder niggle. We'll see if that affects him long term. That is also a big loss, obviously, for both Scarlets and Welsh Rugby, because he was kind of the standout 10 in the regions at the moment, and losing Sam Costello for the Scarlets. So we'll see what happens there moving forward. 2 yellow cards in the first half didn't help proceedings either. One at the beginning, one at the end. So yeah, playing for 60 minutes with 14 players is quite difficult, especially at that standard of rugby. So I will touch upon the number 10 jersey as well, because that I think is a big sort of emphasis right now on like who's going to step up now to fill the role of number 10, especially with obviously Bigger going and whatnot. So yeah, staying in the Challenge Cup, the Ospreys recently just lost to Benetton in the URC 18-13, went ahead and put on a strong performance, muscling past Benetton to win 43-34. And I say muscling past because the likes of Dewi Lake, Adam Beard, Jack Morgan were back in the squad, and also George North as well. Dewi Lake coming away with not one, not two, not three, but 4 tries to put on a man of the match performance. Pretty good for him. So yeah, happy days there. And then lastly, the Dragons, who quite literally fought back at the death on the opening weekend of the campaign against Oyonnax, I believe is how you pronounce that team. They scored 3 tries in the last 10 minutes. Rio Dyer getting 2, Ashton Hewitt getting 1. Rio Dyer making his 50th appearance for the region. Ashton Hewitt going top European leader, try scorer for the Dragons. So yeah, happy days, all round good day for the Dragons if you are a Dragons fan. I recently just got the Dragons jersey as well, the 3rd one with the dragon down here. Absolutely love that kit, and I did buy their basketball jersey as well because it just looks fire as well. So yeah, happy days. Now, as it stands in the URC, the Welsh regions are currently sitting at the bottom, kinda. Ospreys in 11th, followed by Cardiff in 12th. Scarlets are immediately behind them in 13th, and then the Dragons sitting at the bottom. So it'd be interesting to see going forward how they structure sort of the teams, whether they focus on trying to win silverware or whether they want to try and climb the URC table, and it'll just be interesting to see. So yeah. Especially with teams facing, the cuts in the budget department, there are going to be occasions where they have to trust the region, the youngsters coming through the region. So, yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good to see everything that's going to happen in Welsh rugby over the next year, maybe more. So, looking ahead to the next round of European tournaments coming up this weekend, the next round of fixtures, should I say, in the European tournament. Scarlets kicking off the action as the regions take on, as they take on the Lions this Friday. Moving on to Saturday, Cardiff take on Bath, which will be a very good game, I think, under the lights. And then the Dragons taking on Pau away at 5:30 on Saturday. And then on Sunday, the Ospreys on the road as they take on Montpellier. So once again, apologies for the brief hiatus. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. I got to experience a lot of rugby in person in Wales, and I'm excited to get back on the horse. Although I didn't really get off the podcasting horse, I just took a little break. All good. So if you are looking forward to the content that is coming up, you are looking forward to me covering the European tournaments, the European leagues rather, cups, should I say, the Six Nations. Touching upon the number 10 jersey for Wales. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe for that content and all that good stuff. Let me know your thoughts. How you doing? How is everything? I hope you are doing very, very well. Looking forward to the festive period. I certainly am, especially as it snowed this morning. Happy days. Diolch and Fawr. Thank you very much. My name is Ryan. This is the Chip Over the Top podcast, and I'll catch you very, very soon.